Welcome to the Wooden Nook, my only available filming space this week. I'm here with some Coleus. Have you ever noticed that the internet is filled with Coleus identity crisis jokes? It started as Coleus blume in the late 1800s, and now it's got all these synonymous names. Plectranthus scutellaroides, stolen a stem in scutellaroides. Some people just say Coleus scutellaroides. Do you even know what you are? Of course it knows what it is. We're the ones that don't know what we're talking about. Coleus has really come back into popularity lately. It's in all the gardening magazines, it's on a bunch of gardening articles online. It's pretty wild how many different hybrids there are out there now. Native to Malaysia, the Coleus plant has roughly 60 species. It's known as a herbaceous perennial, but in North America it's more commonly grown as an annual. It also makes an exceptional houseplant. Coleus is in the mint family. Now, I usually really like to use Latin names because it helps avoid any kind of common name confusion. But a common name for Coleus is painted nettle. I love that. Some varieties really look like painted nettle. A lot of people hear Coleus and they immediately go to shade plant in their heads. It is an awesome shade plant. It tolerates tons of shade. But there are so many hybrids now that you can get that are actually pretty sun-friendly. And in fact, sunlight is actually what makes those darker cultivars, those purplish reddish leaves, makes that color really pop. Back in the day, Coleus was used for what's called carpet gardening. That sounds gross. You just plant a huge field of Coleus and kind of takes over a zone. Looks pretty stunning. These days, you can get upright varieties, trailing varieties for baskets or borders. You can get round growth habit cultivars. You name it, they got it. If you're going to grow from seed, sow them indoors 8 to 12 weeks before your last frost, and then harden them off and transplant outside. Germination is anywhere between 2 to 3 weeks. Don't transplant outside until night temperatures are like 15 degrees Celsius or higher. If you don't want to grow from seed, you're in luck, because Coleus grows really well from cuttings. On that note, because they're so easy to propagate, I highly recommend propagating or moving your plants indoors and overwintering them as houseplants. There's a story with this little Coleus guy here. You see how he's hanging out on the border of this round pot? This was once an enormous, abundant, amazing Coleus. I ended up having it as an indoor houseplant all winter long. Because of my south-facing exposure, it worked really well. And while it's supposed to be a shade plant, the dark foliage really did evolve into this bright, vivid color. I actually had a lovely friend house sit this Coleus plant for me, and when I was going to pick it up, she dropped it and it broke and everything was all over the floor. It was a huge mess. And she felt so bad, and I said, you know what, Coleus is probably the best plant you could have dropped, because I bet you I can salvage some of it from the stem cuttings. So I took it home and I organized it and I tried to salvage as much as I could. Lo and behold, one stem cutting made it. I just stuck it back in the dirt. I didn't use any rooting hormone or anything. Watered it slightly, left it alone. I did put a bag over it to create humidity for a while. And it rooted on its own, and it's coming back. Living proof that stem cuttings are very easy to do with the Coleus. Okay, when we're talking Coleus, flower schmower. It's all about the foliage. That almost rhymed. Coleus is all about the foliage. No, it didn't. It's true though. That's why people plant Coleus. The stems can be succulent-like, and the leaves are always toothed, okay? Here's a picture of an entire leaf edge versus a toothed leaf edge. Coleus doesn't smell like anything. You can take a leaf and crush it up and it's just planty. The foliage color options can be overwhelming. I would recommend looking for a cultivar that suits where you're going to plant it. So pre-plan where you're going to plant it. If you just do it based on color, who knows what you're going to get. If you're planting in a container, get a dwarf or a trailing variety. So many crazy names. Black Dragon, Wizard, Premium Sun, Fairway, Stained Glass. Ooh, that's a good one. This guy is called Kong, like King Kong. The tag says part shade, but because of the darker foliage, I feel like it would handle sun a little better than a lighter foliage. This one's called Fairway. If you want a Coleus that tolerates sun and in fact flourishes in the south-facing light, Fairway. If you find that the leaves on your Coleus plant are starting to drop, you're likely overwatering. The main recommendation I can make about watering is be consistent, okay? That goes for any plant. Inconsistent watering just confuses a plant, okay? You give it too much one week and then you forget the next week, it's going to be like, wait, what? How long do I have to work with this? Why didn't I get extra today? Stop! What am I going to do with this? No! Stick to a schedule. Coleus can grow anywhere from 6 to 36 inches high. Okay, most varieties are lower, bushy kind of growing varieties. Just check the tag when you buy a plant if you're buying an established plant. If you find that your Coleus is getting kind of leggy or scraggly, that's pretty common for Coleus. But I have good news for you. You can easily manipulate its growth. Just pinch away those scraggly stems that you don't want. Seriously, don't worry, don't be afraid. Coleus can take it. If you pinch off those scraggly stems right at their base, you're going to encourage a much more bushy growth for the plant. I said flower schmower before, but I don't really feel that way. Because it's grown for the foliage, most people will pinch off the flower stalks. Because once it flowers, it's not really going to put much energy into its foliage growth. But the flowers are these tiny little beautiful little purple stalks. Most people call them insignificant. How rude. Each flower is two-lipped and they have a terminal inflorescence, which means they only flower at the end of each stem, not at the leaf base. So, are you going to grow Coleus this season? It's really quite well mannered. It's not like an invasive mint plant. A lot of mint plants spread and are invasive. Coleus isn't like that. It's also pretty low maintenance. A little water here, a little pinch there, maybe whisper some sweet nothings to it in the middle of the heat waves in July. I'm planting this Coleus in a west-facing garden with shade from a pine tree nearby, so it gets about 4 or 5 hours of really good evening sunlight, and that's about it. I think it'll be really happy here. I don't know if you can find an easier plant to add vivacious, popping color to your garden. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you want to watch more videos like this. They come out every Friday.